So, guys, we are back to the matter of Phala Phala. You remember back in March, we were told that the IPID investigations report into Phala Phala is now a top secret. The Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, basically told the South Africans that, guys, I know that you were eagerly waiting for this investigation report into Phala Phala so that you can understand what happened at the president's farm. But sorry, we are not sorry. We are not going to be able to avail that report to you, as now this report is classified as a top secret. And guys, I don't want to lie. Personally, I saw that as an admission of guilt, because if the president was innocent, like he wanted the rest of us to believe, then Ramaphosa would not have a problem with this investigation report being released so that he can be vindicated. But we saw his puppet minister of police going to the extreme length of sealing this report and making sure that the public never sees this report. But now, ActionSA says that no, it is time for the IPID to release this investigation report into Phala Phala so that the people can understand what happened into the president's farm. And ActionSA is also threatening the courts that if the IPID is not going to release this investigation report into Phala Phala, then we're going to go to the courts. So guys, before we go to what ActionSA has basically said, I just want to refresh your mind a bit by going through this article that came out on the 7th of March 2025. And it said that the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, has said the IPID report on the controversial Phala Phala farm theft has now been classified as a top secret. This was revealed in a response to a parliamentary question and answer session where questions about the report were asked by the ATM leader Vuyo Zungula. The Phala Phala saga began in June 2022 when criminal charges were laid against President Ramaphosa and the members of his security detail. The former Director General at the State Security Agency, Arthur Fraser, alleged that Ramaphosa and his team had covered up a February 2020 burglary at his game farm, where large sums of the foreign currency allegedly concealed in the furniture were stolen. The money, reportedly around $580,000, was said to be a payment from the Sudanese businessman Hazim Mustafa for 20 buffaloes. But guys, we know that the buffaloes were never collected. In his parliamentary question and answer, Zungula asked the police minister when the IPID report would be released, given the repeated calls for transparency regarding the saga and its publication. The police minister responded that the investigation had been completed and that IPID had referred its recommendations to the South African Police Service on the 3rd of October 2023. The police minister added that the IPID was classified with the South African Police Service response, but the report was classified as a top secret under the paragraph 3.4.4 of the Minimum Information Security Standard, meaning it cannot be disclosed unless formally declassified. Zungula further questioned why the report has not been released, despite 9 formal requests from his office and 11 complaints. The police minister replied that it is impermissible to make available a classified report for the purpose that the ATM had requested for it. Quote, in essence, there is no delay in making the report available, but it is not allowed to make it available. This is what the police minister has said. Zungula then asked if the police minister would ensure the immediate release of the top secret IPID report, arguing that there seems to be a deliberate attempt to suppress it. However, the police minister dismissed this and said that while the IPID reports to him, the minister may not interfere with its operations. So, quote, to suggest that the minister should ensure that IPID release an investigation report, it is similar to suggesting that the minister must interfere with the work of the IPID. Quote, as indicated above, IPID has classified the report as top secret, and to suggest that the report is suppressed, it is disingenuous. Of course, the report was suppressed, Senzo Mchunu. Of course, the report was suppressed. While this report remains classified, other investigations into Phala Phala matter had been made public. In August 2023, the South African Reserve Bank concluded that no exchange control laws had been violated in alleged transaction between Phala Phala Farm and Hazim Mustafa. The South African Reserve Bank investigations focused on whether the sale of the buffaloes to Mustafa constituted a breach of exchange control regulations. The central bank determined that there was no contravention because the transaction had never been perfected. How was there no contravention? Because the transaction was never perfected. In other words, since the buffaloes were never delivered, the deal did not meet the necessary conditions to require a declaration under the exchange control laws. So these people are just admitting. They are admitting. Okay, let me go there. These people are admitting that the buffaloes were never collected. The buffaloes were never collected. So if the buffaloes were never collected, why is that money still there at the president's farm? Because we were told that this money, it came from this businessman from Sudan, Hazim Mustafa, who allegedly wanted to buy 20 buffaloes from President Ramaphosa. But at the same time, he did not collect these buffaloes. So if he did not collect these buffaloes, why was that money still at the president's farm? This is what I do not understand. This is what I do not understand. The quote. Thus, the South African Reserve Bank cannot conclude that there was any contravention of the exchange control regulations by the Ntaba Yenyoni estates or, for that matter, by the president. Despite the South African Reserve Bank findings, critics remain skeptical, arguing that the unresolved questions surrounding the source of the money and its storage in furniture continue to cast a shadow over the presidency. Of course, transparency advocates and opposition parties have insisted that the public deserves to see the full findings of investigations, particularly the IPID report, which deals directly with the law enforcement handling of this case. So now, ActionSA, guys, like I said, ActionSA says no, but no, the president has, like this report, it has to be released. This report, it has to be released. Because, of course, there is something, like, it is suspicious. This whole story, it is suspicious. And if Hazim Mustafa bought these buffaloes from the president, why did the president have to stash the money into his couches and mattresses there in Phala Phala? Why did he have to stash that money there into Phala Phala? And why did the president keep that money if these buffaloes were never collected? I don't understand why the political parties in this country never pushed for this IPID report to be released. How many political parties actually, guys, pushed for this IPID report to be released? How many of them? I mean, we have a lot of political parties here in this country, man. They are compromised. All of these people, man, they are compromised. Because there is no way. There's no way, guys. I always say that this has to be one of the biggest scandals, if not the biggest scandal in the past 10 years. And somehow, the political parties in this country and their leaders are just moving around as if nothing had happened. It is unbelievable, man.
ActionSA has filed an appeal with the Independent Police Investigating Directorate about its decision to deny ActionSA access into its investigation report into the Presidential Protection Unit members' involvement in the investigations of the robbery at the President's Phala Phala farm in Limpopo. ActionSA has always contended that the classification of that IPID report as top secret was in contravention of the law of our country and our constitution.
And at the same time, as much as I'm happy that ActionSA is pushing for this, I don't know if they are doing it for the purpose of the 2026 local government elections, because we know that a lot of political parties that have been on the side of the ANC are going to grandstand with the same ANC. So I don't know how genuine ActionSA is with this matter of Phala Phala. I don't know.
ActionSA has filed an appeal with the Independent Police Investigating Directorate about its decision to deny ActionSA access into its investigation report into the Presidential Protection Unit members' involvement in the investigations of the robbery at the President's Phala Phala farm in Limpopo. ActionSA has always contended that the classification of that IPID report as top secret was in contravention of the law of our country and our constitution, depriving access for opposition parties like ActionSA, the media and the public to hold accountable those officers for their conduct. The fact that these officers were involved in investigating the robbery when they are not detectives and their job is just to protect the president is a real concern, that the South African people will never know truly the details that took place during that crime, because those who are charged with protecting the president were protecting the president and not just investigating an ordinary crime like the detective services of our country would ordinarily have done. This is why the public protector in her report found against the conduct of these officers and encouraged IPID to do this investigation in the first place, because it is an abuse of power that we should all be concerned about as South Africans.
But the same public protector, I call him, I call her, I call her like Ramaphosa's protector. The first thing that she said when she got in office was that, no, there's nothing wrong that the president has said. And this is when I knew that, okay, officially in this country, we don't have a public protector. Because Koleka Galeka, before the ink was even dry on her contract, the first thing that she said was that, no, there's absolutely nothing nothing wrong that the president has said. So the question remains, if there's nothing wrong that the president has said, why are the reports of the investigations into this matter still sealed? Why?
Of great concern to ActionSA is that many opposition political parties that previously were very vocal on this issue now serve alongside the president in his cabinet and are silent on this particular matter, ensuring that there will never be accountability for what really took place on that farm all that time ago. And that is why ActionSA is taking up this fight without fear or favor. We will wait the prescribed number of days for IPID to respond to our appeal, and if they do not give us access to that report, we will not be afraid to approach the High Court and every other court thereafter if necessary to ensure that there is accountability, because the principle that the president of our country is not above the law is something that must be fought, and if no one else is willing to take on that fight, ActionSA will do so.
Hey, man, Ramaphosa, man, everything about Ramaphosa is suspicious, man. Like, I don't know, man. Everything about Ramaphosa is suspicious and it is classified. Now they have decided to classify this Phala Phala report just like they classified the CR17 funding list. Everything about the president is classified. It's classified. It is an absolute shame, man. It is an absolute shame. You remember that not so long ago, the EFF was also protesting, going to the Constitutional Court to say, but why are you guys not ruling on this matter of Phala Phala? It is shameless, man. It is shameless. And I guess it just shows you that all of these people are compromised. Even the courts are compromised. The judges are compromised. And it just shows you the kind of grip that Cyril Ramaphosa has. Ramaphosa has more power than people actually anticipate. He has more power than people had actually thought. But guys, what are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts? Do you think that ActionSA will win this fight of forcing the IPID to release this investigation report into Phala Phala? I don't know. I don't have any belief, but I don't know. What are your thoughts, guys? Please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit the like button and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.